When we talk about sort of this halcyon past where everybody was employed and people in the manufacturing industry were employed, like you describe at one point the 1970s, and I want to read it because I think it's sort of telling and interesting. You say some economic problems existed, growth was uneven, and inflation periodically high, which might be a mild understatement. I mean, the 70s were not great economically, but income inequality was low. Jobs provided benefits, and mainstream businesses were the drivers of the economy. There were only 3 television networks, and in my house, we watched them on a TV with an antenna that we fiddled with to make the picture clearer. Now, I'm not nostalgic for a time where I had 3 channels on a TV where I had to fiddle with the antenna. There are obviously benefits and drawbacks to the economy, but the fact is that people are living significantly better on the average in the United States than they were in the 1970s, if only from the ability to consume more. I mean, the fact is that everybody has a microwave, everybody has a cell phone, everybody has a car. We're talking poverty line folks have these things. So when we talk about what Amazon is not paying, the fact is that Amazon not only is one of the bigger employers in the country, but Amazon is making legitimately millions of lives better on the consumption side. So are we focusing too much on the production side as opposed to the consumption side, especially considering that the number of people who are affected by consumption is 100%, and the number of people who are affected by lacks of production jobs are significantly lower than that?
Well, it's one of the things that I say in the book, which is that if you have like this focus on consumption, like cheap stuff and access to apps on your smartphone are great, but they don't substitute for having a functioning Main Street or a job to go to. And so it's true that there are winners and losers in this economy. Unfortunately, right now, the losers outnumber the winners significantly by at least some measurements. And we talk about the 70s to now. Income growth has stagnated for many Americans from the 70s to now in real terms. And the last 3 years, we've seen this declining life expectancy that's hand in hand with a surge in suicides and drug overdoses, which is a sign that at least some Americans are experiencing the lack of productive opportunity much more sharply than having access to cheap consumer goods can somehow make up for.
Well, I think that's obviously true for a subset of the population. It is also true that for 100% of the population, the consumer goods...
We get cheap stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just
yeah.
cheap stuff. I mean, it's pretty fantastic and great stuff. And if the idea of UBI is that raising living standards on a generalized level results in better outcomes in a variety of areas, then one of the ways to do that is to continue to provide that cheap stuff. And so there is a balance here, I would assume.
I like cheap stuff.